bring Roe v. Wade to life. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Sorry for stepping on you there. It is a good story, and I do think it's one that needs to be told. And I'm going to be speaking just a minute with Nick Loeb. He is one of these men who had the vision to do it. He's a very successful producer. He's been involved along with Academy Award-winning actor Jon Voight in the making of Roe v. Wade, the movie. And that was Dr. Alveda King, of course, Anissa Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and a lot of others are involved. But these two Hollywood actors are coming together with pro-life leaders. They're going to produce a film that will tell the true story behind Roe v. Wade. And it's an exciting time. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it one final time today. Look, I believe in the end, life will be protected from the moment of conception through natural death in our country. But it's going to take every effort we possibly can. And I want to credit Nick and John and so many others for their stance and for what they're doing. In fact, joining me right now is Nick Loeb, a very successful movie producer and an actor, a businessman. He's also actually a convert to the pro-life movement and is producing this film, Roe v. Wade. You can check it out, RoeVWadeMovie.com. Nick, thank you for your time today. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
It's great to have you here. I mean, I'm excited about the movie. I would like somebody to tell the story in a way that is well done and professionally written, produced, and shot. And if we can do that, I think you'll reach a lot of hearts. I think it's a very effective way of doing it. What led you to this?
Well, that's an interesting story. I was working on another film about a year and a half ago, and the director had read about me in the New York Times, an op-ed I had written about protecting lives. And he came up to me and said, listen, I'm trying to make a movie that Hollywood won't touch and I can't tell anybody about or I'll be blackballed. Yeah. I said, what's that? He said, Roe v. Wade. I said, you mean there's never been a Roe v. Wade theatrical movie? Wow. And he said, well, in 89, they made it made for TV at 1. They left out everything that really happened and it was full of lies. And this is the truth. I said, I'd love to read it. So I went home and I read it. And I was in shock by a lot of the details that I think not only I didn't know, but I think most Americans didn't know about the case. I mean, everybody has heard of Roe v. Wade, the most famous court case in American history, I would say. But I don't think anyone really knows the story of what led up to it and through it and how it was decided. And, like the movie JFK by Oliver Stone. Oh, yeah. It's a bit of a conspiracy. So, we put this together, and obviously Hollywood won't fund this film. They're actually funding a pro-abortion version right now. And so we wanted to be able to come out with a film about the truth of what happened and trying to get everybody to support us because Hollywood won't.
Well, good for you. I mean, I am shocked too that look, this is an issue that has cost 60 million innocent lives in our country, 60 million surgical abortions in this country. We are dealing right now with one of the most divisive issues that has impacted American politics, and I think this is if you want to present a movie that's going to you're going to get a huge grassroots movements behind. This is it. But the story that most people understand is that Jane Roe in Texas was raped and then she was impregnated and she couldn't get an abortion, so she actually sued the state. But that's not really what happened, is it?
No, not at all. The story actually starts way before that, back in the 60s, with a woman named Margaret Sanger, who was the founder of Planned Parenthood. And her story was her goal, even though she wasn't, people don't actually know, Margaret Sanger also, the founder of Planned Parenthood, was actually against abortion. But she was interested in population control, and her first project that she formulated was she called the Negro Project. She wanted to reduce the amount of blacks in America. So she would build and promote centers for birth control in African-American neighborhoods. Abortion has become the number one killer of African-Americans in our country. So the story starts with Margaret and her organization, which became Planned Parenthood, a party of NARAL, and them trying to overturn laws in America. And the way they were trying to do this was first through the legislatures, and then they were trying to find girls they could get and convince to sue the government. Yep. And that's how they found Nora McCorvey. They found this poor girl with a 10th grade education who is already in her second trimester, who just wanted an abortion, and they actually told her she could have an abortion if she sued the state. And when Norma turned around and said, well, what's an abortion? Their answer to her was, oh, don't worry, it's like removing a piece of skin.
Wow.
And so, and these are words that come from the mouths themselves. We didn't make any of this up. I can go into more detail on some of the things that were said by on both sides to get what they wanted and manipulate. I mean, they even brought and recruited a guy named Bernard Nathanson, who's a big character in our film, who was the largest abortionist in history, committed over 70,000 abortions, and Bernard would go out into the media and say, hundreds of thousands of women are dying in back alleys today because of illegal abortions. Later on, he converted, and he came clean and said, we lied to the media. It was all fake news. Yeah. So we've been having fake news all the way back to the 60s in order to pass our agenda.
He had a great conversion, too.
Conversion of him as well.
Yeah, he had a powerful conversion.
Huge conversion. He actually... his conversion is when he realized it was a life. He performed an abortion under a sonogram. And he ended up making a documentary in 1989 called The Silent Scream, where he shows an abortion under a sonogram. And this is the first time he actually realizes he's ripping apart the arms and legs of a baby during an abortion. And when he has this realization, he can't continue to perform abortions, and he becomes a leading activist in the pro-life movement, writing several books before and after.
So what's your story? Where were you prior to this? Hollywood tends to be kind of liberal. They promote this culture of death, and I mean, a lot of people make the mistake. They go down this path thinking it's a woman's choice, and they buy into a lot of the cultural lies and rhetoric of the day. Where were you, and what brought you down to the camp of wanting to defend life so vigorously?
Well, I mean, I think where I was lack of education. I think you played a clip earlier by Paul Ryan saying love is changing us and has a new trend of making people pro-life. I think that's beautiful. The trend today that's truly making people pro-life is education. Kids today are able to see through new technology that there's actually a baby there. And it's not just a blob of nothing or a clump of cells. There's a heartbeat. There's a child. I mean, before in the first trimester, in the first couple months. And so when my generation, I'm 42, we weren't taught that, and we weren't educated. And learning that through the process is what's driven me. I mean, my story is that, when I was younger, I did date a woman who had an abortion, and as my life went on, it truly affected me, and to the point where today, I have dreams of a child that I would have at the age they would be today, and regretted it. I wish maybe if I was educated enough, that I knew that I was actually killing a human being, because we're all taught, when we're younger in schools, it's not a life, it's cells. Yeah. So, I don't think we really know and understand until we're educated. And so now, the more I study, the more I learn, the more I read, the more educated I become, and the more passionate I become for this movement.
I'm glad you're doing. I know your goal is what, $2 million? Is that the budget for the film, or what are you guys looking for?
Yeah, the budget of the film is we're doing a real Hollywood movie, and we're not. So it is a small budget film. We're doing it for $5 million. We've raised about a little over half the money already. We've already got a commitment for a theatrical distribution on 1,000 screens across the U.S. We've attached great actors like John Voight, and we just attached Stephen Baldwin last week as well.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah, and Steve was very excited about the film. And so, we're making, we're not making a Hallmark movie. We're not making what I like to call a faith-based movie. We're making it is a tough, factual, conspiratorial movie about what happened from 1966 to 1973 and the characters that were involved in this conspiracy to legalize abortion in this country. And so we're raising another $2 million, and even if just everyone gave $5, we could raise the money at RoeVWadeMovie.com is where we're raising it.
Well, I put a link up both on my Twitter page and on our Facebook page as well, so people can check it out. And it's Roe v. Wade the movie. Is that it? .com? Is that the best place to check it?
RoeVWadeMovie.com.
RoeVWadeMovie.com. Hey, and Nick, let me ask you.
Roe v. Wade movie. They'll find it.
Let me ask you just about kind of the reality behind the fight you're going to have. And I really believe, just as Gibb said when he was doing The Passion of the Christ and others, when you do works that either bring truth or beauty or bring God to the culture or defend the vulnerable, like this movie will for the issue of life, it'll probably save a lot of lives. There's also spiritual warfare involved. That's my personal perspective. I used to be a documentarist, and I saw that in some of the films I did, some of the documentaries I did to advance the kingdom of God. But I also think you're going to have difficulty with finding a distributor for this film. Films that are critical of the culture tend to get blackballed in Hollywood, as do actors and directors and producers. How likely is it that you're going to be able to get this thing out? And what are the biggest?
We already have a distributor. This is what's exciting about it. We already have a distributor signed on that's already committed to bring us out on 1,000 screens. We've already raised half of the marketing dollars. We've raised about $2.5 million in marketing dollars already. So the movie's getting out there. We just got to get it made.
All right,
and so, we will have a fight. We will have a battle. And you'll have media blackout, or maybe you'll have, the media getting angry and going crazy, and that'll drive more people to theaters and to see this film.
The
whole goal is.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Nick. Go ahead.
No, listen. I say, if one person can see this film and change their mind and save a life, it'll all be worth it.
Here's how I see it. Look, if it's well done, you get quality actors like Voight and others in there. If it's well done, I think you've tapped into a gold mine, into a vein in our country here. There are so many people who are pro-life. Even if it's mediocre, I'm not saying it's going to be. I'm just saying even if it is, and you get it out there, the buzz you're going to get, it's going to be overwhelming. You're going to get a lot of media attention. You're going to get people coming out like they have for other films. Bella was a grassroots films, but this is going to have a much larger draw than anything else. And I think it's going to be a game changer. I think you're going to save a lot of lives through this, and I'm excited to see how it's going to come through. And look, you've been a fighter for life for a long time. I know that you're involved in kind of a high-profile case right now with Sofia Vergara from Modern Family. She was your former fiancée, right? And you guys had those embryos together via IVF, and then there was this breakup, and she wants to keep them on ice, but you're going to the bat for those embryos. So life is important to you, and I want to applaud you for that. And I think it's really important, and know that we're going to be in your prayers. How's that going, by the way?
It's challenging. We just filed in Louisiana for custody. I think very interestingly enough, we compared our case to we used an old slave case because in the old days you had states fight. For example, I don't know if you ever saw 12 Years a Slave.
Mm-hmm, I did.
The state of New York. Right, well, the state of New York said, well, we want Solomon Northrop back. He's a person. And Louisiana said, no, he's somebody's property. And so two states fought between a slave, one state saying it was a person and one state saying it was property. Well, that's what's going to happen now. You're going to have Louisiana fighting California. California saying embryos are property, and Louisiana saying they're persons. So I think it's sort of an interesting argument to take back and use as a case.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. I think we have to hope that Louisiana recognizes this.
Yeah, it's another big case. Well, look, we're going to be praying for you, brother. I'm again, really delighted by the work that you're doing, and God brings good out of every situation. I'm convinced of that, and I know that this is going to be a great work. I only have a few moments left for you. Maybe if you could, I love your story, too. I was reading a little bit about you earlier today. You were raised in a secular home, then you were sent off to this boarding school, so you really didn't have any religious upbringing at all. How did you come to the realization that life really begins at conception, and how did you get to where you are right now in your faith life?
Well, that's interesting. Yes, I have a Jewish father. I was baptized Episcopalian, but I was raised by an Irish Catholic nanny. So I span across all of Judeo-Christian religions. To me, my argument is not about God. God is not in my argument about abortion. It is purely scientific. Although I do believe in God, I don't prescribe to any one religion or another. I do believe in God, but my belief in God has nothing to do with my belief on life. It is purely scientific based. So those folks that are out there today that are anti-religion or anti-Jesus or anti-God can take a look and see, well, you know what? It's still a life. It is a human being. And so my position came because I learned it's a human being. It is a life. It's half me. It's half somebody else. It's our DNA. And it becomes an individual person different than anybody else on the planet today.
Yeah.
And so, it's a human being. And we have a character in our film, very interestingly enough, who takes that same position. A woman named Dr. Mildred Jefferson, who was the first African-American woman to graduate from Harvard Medical School, was a huge, even though she was Baptist, was a huge champion of life and the second president of National Right to Life, mainly because her argument was to take religion out of it. Now you have other characters that want, do bring God, and that's their purpose. Everyone has their own reason for believing that it's a human being.
Yeah, no, I had read a great piece a couple days ago prior to the anniversary of Roe v. Wade, who kind of made the same case you're making, that, religious pro-lifers, they should recognize the fact that they have more allies than they thought they did, and more useful arguments as well. I mean, a lot of people go to the Bible, or the Catechism is always trying to defend life. But this is really a secular argument, too. The pro-life position is essentially a secular position. It's driven by religious people, of course, but like the Civil Rights Movement, which was also driven by religious people, it makes these universal appeals, and anyone can make its central arguments about life and human dignity of the unborn, and anyone should be able to see those truths to those arguments, whether they believe in God or not. So I think there's a lot of merit to what you say, and I think sometimes our arguments might be even stronger when we leave our faith out of it. We can always bring that into it. That's what drives us. But, hey, I only have about a minute left, Nick. I want to thank you for your time today. Always good to talk with you, and hopefully we'll catch up as funding continues to come in and the movie gets underway. If people want to support you again, they can simply go to RoeVWadeMovie.com, RoeVWadeMovie.com. I put it at Facebook and I put it at Twitter. Any final thoughts, Nick, before we let you go?
No, I just everyone, if they can post it on their Facebook, tweet it, reach out to me. We'd love everybody involved. Some of the perks of actually donating is getting to be in the movie, being an extra, working on the movie as an intern. So if anybody ever wanted to work in the film business, here's their chance.
All right, well, sounds great, Nick. We'll be following your work. Keep up your great work, okay?
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Take care.
God bless you. That's Nick Loeb, folks. Nick Loeb, and again, the movie, if you want to check it out, RoeVWadeMovie.com. And, we do need a good movie. I just pray that it's well done. That's the thing. I do pray that it is well done. He says, we're not making a Hallmark movie, and for all those of you who love Hallmark movies, I hope that's not an insult to you, but, you don't want a made-for-TV movie. You want a Hollywood movie. You want a good, solid production. And, if we tell the truth of what happened, that led up to Roe versus Wade, if we tell the story of who was manipulating Norma McCorvey, and look, like I said, I've met her several times, very simple. God has called her home. She's dead now, but a very simple woman. And she was clearly a pawn in what has unfolded here. But let's pray for his success. Let's pray right now for an end to the culture of death. And if you are, contemplating an abortion, I really want you to think about that a second time.